Hey crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and today I want to talk to you about how to set up a card that you want to make, but you don't have the paper that you want, so you make your own background paper. I'm going to show you how I made this cherry background paper and how I found a bowl online and was able to poof it up so that it looks three-dimensional and create a really cool card like this without having to have that fancy new card pack or paper pack. I'm going to pretend that I really want to duplicate this card, but I don't have any red paper, and I'm out of ribbon, so I'm going to skip that. But I want to do something that's really similar. So I picked out a red ink, because with the red ink we can make our own paper and make our own background paper. And then I picked out a green for the leaves. Now this very back part here is as you can tell, let's see, the little dot, the Swiss dots. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to make this card just a little bit broader. So this back piece here, which is cut, this is an A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I cut this like just 1/4 of an inch smaller. This is going to be the red piece. So I'm just going to pull in a piece of scratch paper. The red ink that I chose could be any kind of ink that you want. And I'm just going to start putting ink around the edges of this paper, because the whole paper is not going to show. I just want the illusion that I have that red paper that totally matches the cherries when I'm done. We don't have to ink up the whole paper since we're going to be putting another paper on top of this. So I'm not going all the way to the center. I'm just doing the edges. You can keep going around and getting that as dark red as you want. You can see in this one that the red has really settled out the color. It looks blotchy here. But once you get that second piece of paper on there, it doesn't look quite as blotchy. So this is the piece that's going to go on the top, and you can see the red all around it. I want mine to be just a little bit darker, so I'm going to keep going with that color. And I'm concentrating on keeping it really close to the edge because that's where the color is going to be the most seen. Okay, and then I'm going to let that side because it's going to need to dry a bit. And then the set I'm using is this one. I don't know what it's called. I just got it. So there's the little cherries and the leaves. That's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to put the cherries on that one, and my other little stamp, I'm going to put one leaf. And we're going to create our own background paper. So using the exact same red ink, we're just going to dip in to these cherries, and we're going to stamp them all over the paper in kind of a random fashion. And make sure to stamp a few of them off the paper so it looks like it was actually created as a whole piece, and that it continued, you know, the pattern like keeps continuing. That'll make the paper look more natural. And then I happen to really like Old Olive, so I went with that for my green. That's what I'm going to stamp my leaves in. Okay, and as simple as that, we've created our own background paper. Cute. Alright, let's pull that red back in. This is going to go on top. And now we've got the basis of our card. Okay, next thing I said that we would go to Google. Just go to Google and type in whatever it is that you're looking for. I was looking for a bowl of cherries. This is what popped up. This image along with a greeting. This is what it originally looked like. I went ahead and cut them down, made a couple of swatches of colors of what color I wanted my bowl to be, and then I went ahead and fussy cutted one out. So I've got two colors of blue here. One's just slightly darker than the other. And then I'm going to grab my colorless blender. And I'm just going to flick the color in from the side. So I want the bowl to look like is that it's slightly blue, but more of like a glass look to it. Not that I'm coloring it blue, but that it's got a little blue glassy look to it. Add a little more blue here. And then a little bit of the colorless blender just to blend that out. Another reason to do that is then I can see the blue from the back side when I go to, what do you call it? Oh, let's see. I use these tools, and usually you do for rounding the petals of flowers, but you can do the same concept with this. So what I want to do is create a little bit, I want to break up the fibers in here and create a little bit of a bow in the paper so that it curls up so that it looks three-dimensionally like a bowl. So it's got a dip to it there. I've seen people put cotton behind here, but I'm just going to go ahead and put a piece of sticky foam. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue around the edges here to glue it down to my card. So let's go ahead and get started with the card base. We're going back to the red that we made, our piece of red cardstock, which is going to magically look like a piece of red cardstock that totally matches our project. We're going to put that on first. And then our homemade pattern paper, because we had this awesome idea to do a cherry project and we just didn't have it, but we had the stamps to make it. And then our bowl's going to go on top here. Now one other thing that we can take it a step farther, I want to color these cherries and I want it to be the exact same color red, so I'm going to squish some of that ink right onto my craft mat here. I'm going to get a little bit of water. And then I'm going to use a dry brush. This one actually has a barrel to hold water, but it's dry right now. And I'm going to pick up some of that color and color these. I'm going to get them wet. Hopefully not run that dark black. And then as I pick up more color, I can make a gradient. So that they're not all exactly the same color or all exactly red. This is not watercolor paper that I chose, so you just want to make sure that if you're not using watercolor paper that you don't get too crazy with the water, because it'll warp your paper, of course. I'm just adding a little extra of that straight red to make it really dark so that it matches. And then I just take a little bit of water, wipe my brush off, save it for next time. And then that is just easily wiped up. I always keep toilet paper for my drying. Okay, and then this is the piece that I want to put down. I have a little bit of foam behind it. I could go 2 layers of foam. I have in the past. I think I will, just to make sure that that sticks up in the middle. And then I'm going to take a little bit of glue on the edges along the bottom of the bowl and just on the sides here, these 2 edges. So I want those edges to touch so that the center of the bowl pops up with the pop dot or the foam tape, but the sides of the bowl and the bottom stick to the table, or to the, well, if there was a table, the ground or whatever your matting is. So I'm just kind of taking my fingernail and running it along here. You can use one of your tools to run along there just to make sure that lays flat, and then run it up and down the side here so that these sides stay down with your glue. And then the bowl stays popped up. Let's give it a second to focus there. And you can see that it's really popped up. Okay, and then the next thing I did for the one that I did previously, this one, was that I just used some glitter glue. So we're going to glitter it up. Glitter those up and they look really cool all glittered. My sentiment that I have on this one, Life is a Bowl of Cherries, is another one that I just Googled and found and went ahead and cut out and added on. So you can add whatever sentiment you want to your card. You could add the ribbon if that's what you want. You can just make it your own. So there's a couple of tips so that if you don't have that pattern paper, or you can't get that expensive pattern paper, or whatever it is that you're looking for, but you really want to create a certain card that you have in mind, you have the tips and tricks now to do it on your own. Make your own paper, make your own pattern paper, and make your own flat colored paper that goes with that is totally matches your project. See you guys next video.